Hidden from much of the world and shrouded in mystery, North Korea stands as one of the most enigmatic nations on the planet. Bordered by China to the northwest, Russia to the northeast, and South Korea to the south, this country occupies the northern part of the Korean peninsula, stretching from the vast plains by the Yellow Sea to the rugged mountains that define much of its interior. Though its official name is the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, or DPRK, North Korea has forged an identity and history that is both complex and unique. The story of North Korea begins in the shadow of the Second World War. In the aftermath of Japanese occupation, the peninsula found itself divided along the 38th parallel. The North came under Soviet influence, while the South aligned with the United States, laying the foundation for two deeply divergent societies. In 1948, North Korea formally became a state under the leadership of Kim Il-sung, whose vision shaped the country's destiny for decades. At the heart of North Korea's national identity lies Juche, a philosophy developed by Kim Il-sung that emphasizes self-reliance, independence, and an unwavering commitment to the nation's sovereignty. This ideology has permeated every aspect of life, from politics and economics to art and education, serving both as a guiding principle and a rallying cry for the population. For the people of North Korea, daily life is characterized by a blend of tradition and state-driven modernity. The capital city, Pyongyang, is the showcase of the nation, its skyline marked by imposing monuments, grand plazas, and the iconic Ryugyong Hotel, a towering structure visible from miles around. At the center stands the Juche Tower, a symbol of the country's philosophy and ambition. Yet beyond Pyongyang, the landscape is dominated by dense forest, green hills, and villages where farming remains a central livelihood, often conducted with tools and practices that have changed little for generations. North Korea's government maintains strict control over information, culture, and personal freedoms. The Kim family dynasty, now in its third generation under Kim Jong-un, commands the absolute loyalty of the state and its people. Through mass rallies, military parades, and a potent mix of tradition and propaganda, the regime fosters a sense of unity and national pride, presenting an image of strength and cohesion to its citizens and the world. Despite its isolation, North Korea possesses a rich cultural heritage. Traditional music, dance, and festivals are woven into the fabric of society, while ancient customs endure in family life and community celebrations. The Korean language, with its distinctive dialect in the north, serves as both a link to the past and a symbol of national identity. The divide between North and South Korea is one of the world's most fortified borders, the Demilitarized Zone, or DMZ. Here, the tension of unresolved conflict lingers from the Korean War, a devastating chapter that left the peninsula divided and still technically at war, as no peace treaty has ever been signed. This ongoing division shapes much of North Korea's worldview and policies. Economically, North Korea remains heavily reliant on state-planned industry and collective agriculture with limited engagement with the outside world. While the country has vast reserves of minerals and natural beauty, from the peaks of Mount Paektu to the serene shores along its coasts, most of its people live under tight government oversight, with few opportunities for contact beyond their borders. Internationally, North Korea is often in the spotlight due to its missile and nuclear programs, drawing both condemnation and diplomatic engagement from the wider world. Yet for all its challenges, North Korea remains home to millions of resilient people, dedicated to their homes and families amid daily hardships. To understand North Korea is to look beyond the headlines, to see a country shaped by history, ideology, and its own vision of the future. A nation both isolated and distinctive, whose story continues to capture global fascination. Nestled in the rolling hills of the Korean peninsula lies the ancient city of Kaesong, a silent witness to centuries of history, culture, and architectural grandeur. Once the proud capital of the Goryeo dynasty, which ruled the Korean peninsula from the 10th to the 14th centuries, Kaesong today stands as a living testament to a remarkable era of creativity, diplomacy, and tradition. Approaching Kaesong, the landscape unfolds with a quiet dignity, marked by centuries-old city walls that still embrace this storied urban center. The city exudes an atmosphere steeped in tradition, with narrow stone streets weaving through neighborhoods where graceful hanok, traditional Korean houses, display distinctive curved rooftops and wooden latticework. These homes, built with careful attention to harmony and balance, reflect the refined aesthetics and philosophical depth of Koryo-era architecture. At the heart of Kaesong lies a treasure trove of UNESCO-listed heritage sites. The most prominent among them is the Songyungwan, an ancient Confucian academy that once served as the nation's premier institution for higher learning. Walking through its serene courtyards, visitors are transported back to a time when scholars in flowing robes debated philosophy and poetry beneath majestic trees. The academic halls, constructed from sturdy stone and aged timber, are testaments to the era's devotion to education and intellectual advancement. Beyond the Songyungwan, the city is dotted with other relics of the Koryo dynasty's glory. Gyeongguksa Temple, one of the oldest Buddhist temples in North Korea, stands as an enduring symbol of faith, its ornate pagoda rising gracefully among the trees. Nearby, one encounters the 13 royal mausoleums, known collectively as the tombs of the kings of Koryo, each an awe-inspiring mound surrounded by stone guardian statues. These ancient tombs, carefully preserved and still shrouded in legend, are reminders of a royal lineage that shaped the destiny of a nation. Kaesong's heritage is not defined by its monuments alone. The very urban fabric of the city retains the layout and structure established centuries ago, incorporating defensive walls, ceremonial gates, and the old city's symmetrical grid. One of the most famous gates, the Namdaemun, opens onto the historic heart of Kaesong. This imposing structure combines intricate wooden panels with finely fitted granite blocks, crowned by a traditional tiled roof. Here, it's easy to imagine processions of nobles and officials passing through, announcing their arrival to a bustling cityscape alive with merchants, scholars, and monks. Trade and diplomacy flourished during the Koryo dynasty, and Kaesong was at the core of this activity. The city's location along vital trade routes made it a conduit for culture and ideas between East and West. Silk, ceramics, and ginseng, products renowned throughout Asia, were exchanged in its markets, and the resulting prosperity left its mark in the form of sophisticated art and architecture. Kaesong's culinary traditions also bear witness to this rich cross-cultural history. The city is particularly famous for its unique version of Korean cuisine, exemplified by the delicate flavors of Kaesong-style bossam, a flavorful pork dish wrapped in thinly sliced radish and paired with locally made soy sauce. Meals are often served in ornately lacquered bowls, preserving culinary techniques that have been passed down through generations. The enduring charm of Kaesong lies in its ability to bridge the past and present. Whether wandering through ancient alleys, marveling at royal tombs, or savoring the city's distinctive dishes, visitors connect with a living history that continues to inspire. Through its graceful architecture, stone walls, and sacred sites, Kaesong invites the world to remember an age when tradition, learning, and artistry flourished in the cradle of the Koryo dynasty. Pyongyang, the capital of North Korea, stands as a city unlike any other on the Korean peninsula. Defined by its monumental architecture, immaculate boulevards, and air of enigmatic grandeur, Pyongyang tells a story both of aspiration and tightly controlled design. This is a city shaped as much by ideology as by concrete and steel, where every avenue and building serve to reflect the vision of the country's leadership and their version of national pride. First impressions of Pyongyang are striking, even surreal. The city's layout is punctuated by enormous public spaces and carefully maintained green areas. At its heart is the Kim Il-sung Square, an expansive plaza that can hold tens of thousands, famously used during military parades and national events. Flanked by severe, imposing government buildings, the square is cast in a symmetry that underlies much of Pyongyang's design, a planned, almost theatrical demonstration of power and unity. As one moves through the city, the monumental nature of its structures becomes even more apparent. The Juche Tower, rising over 170 meters, dominates the skyline across the Taedong River. Topped with a glowing red flame, it symbolizes the Juche ideology of self-reliance, promoted by North Korea's founder Kim Il-sung. Visitors are often brought to its base to gaze up and reflect on the central philosophy shaping North Korean life. Another defining landmark is the Arch of Triumph, inspired by Paris's own Arc de Triomphe, but built grander and taller. Erected to commemorate Korean resistance to Japanese rule, The arch is engraved with motifs and images celebrating independence and national resilience. It is these larger-than-life monuments that render the city simultaneously awe-inspiring and intimidating. Pyongyang streets are famously broad and impeccably clean, fanning out from central squares in carefully orchestrated patterns. The Gwangbok, or reunification, street sweeps through the city in stately fashion, lined with pastel-colored apartment blocks. These urban vistas are the product of extraordinary planning. After the devastation of the Korean War, Pyongyang was rebuilt almost entirely from scratch, transformed into a showcase for socialist urbanism. Public transportation in Pyongyang is as distinctive as its built environment. The city's metro system is among the deepest in the world. Its stations extravagantly decorated with mosaic murals, chandeliers, and socialist realist art. Each journey beneath the earth is a curated experience, where public space serves not only as transit, but as a perpetual stage for ideological expression. Meanwhile, above ground, cyclists and neatly attired pedestrians move along meticulously maintained paths. Motor traffic is surprisingly sparse for a city of over 2 million, adding to the improbable tranquility of Pyongyang's avenues. There is a sense of ritual and ceremony here that permeates daily life. Throughout the city, public statues, most notably the towering Mansudai Grand Monument featuring giant bronze effigies of North Korea's former leaders, serve as focal points for collective gatherings and tributes. Pyongyang is far from an ordinary city. For visitors and residents alike, it is a place imbued with symbolism, where every monument, boulevard, and building carries a message. The city's very existence is intended as evidence of what can be achieved through national unity and centralized planning. Yet, beyond the grand facades and public spectacles, Pyongyang is also home for millions. Here, children attend school, gardeners tend to public lawns, and people go about their daily errands beneath the gaze of ever-present monuments. It is a city of paradox, expansive yet closed, monumental yet intimately lived in by its citizens. To understand Pyongyang is to glimpse the world through the lens of North Korean ideals: disciplined, monumental, and resolutely proud. Enduringly mysterious to much of the world, Pyongyang remains, above all, a living symbol, a city defined as much by its physical scale as by the narratives it seeks to project. In the serene countryside and rugged mountains of the Korean peninsula, life often moves to the rhythm of nature. For generations, rural communities in North Korea have developed a deep connection with the land, relying on their surrounding wilderness for sustenance. Here, foraged food is not just a culinary curiosity. It is a vital part of daily survival and culture. In these areas, wild greens, mushrooms, and a variety of nourishing herbs make up essential components of the rural diet. In springtime, the mountains burst into life, blanketing the slopes with a lush carpet of moraine greens, known locally as namul. These delicate shoots are among the first wild edibles to emerge after a long winter, signaling hope and renewal. Families venture into the hills armed with baskets, searching for familiar leaves and stems. Young shoots of bracken fern, for example, are carefully harvested, soaked, and later transformed into earthy side dishes. Mugwort delivers a slightly bitter flavor, while wild garlic adds punchy aroma and nutrients to stews and soups. Each plant has its distinct taste and health-giving properties, treasured for their ability to turn a simple meal into a celebration of nature. Mushrooms are another prized forest find. Throughout the year, but especially after a gentle rain, locals scour wooded areas for wild fungi. From delicate enoki to robust pine mushrooms, or songji, these treasures are relished for their rich umami flavors and subtle textures. Wild mushrooms can be found gracing soups, stir-fries, or simply charred over an open flame. Whether dried for future use or enjoyed fresh, they embody the deep, woodsy essence of the countryside, a connection to both tradition and sustenance. Herbs and roots, too, play a starring role. Korean mountain valleys are bursting with wild chives, minty perilla leaves, and even ginseng, prized for centuries in East Asian medicine. Many rural families grow cultivated crops, but foraging adds a supplemental layer, enhancing staples like rice and noodles with bursts of fresh, wild flavor. In times of hardship, these skills become even more crucial. Knowing the edible and medicinal plants in one's region can mean the difference between scarcity and survival. Food, however, is not the only way North Koreans in rural or urban environments embrace their surroundings. In recent decades, a surprising local phenomenon has captured international attention. Taedonggang beer, a golden lager named after the country's most famous river. Crafted in a modern brewery near Pyongyang, Taedonggang beer is made using domestic barley and spring water and is considered the pride of the North Korean brewing industry. Despite the country's relative isolation, Taedonggang beer enjoys considerable popularity among tourists who manage to visit North Korea. After a day of hiking misty mountains or exploring rural villages, sampling this locally brewed lager offers a glimpse into daily life and leisure. Crisp, lightly hoppy, and well-crafted, the beer defies many expectations. It is commonly served in draft glasses at restaurants and hotels catering to both locals and foreigners. With the clink of a glass and a foamy head, visitors are reminded that even under challenging circumstances, people find ways to celebrate small pleasures. Together, these wild greens, foraged mushrooms, hillside herbs, and even locally brewed beverages tell a story of resourcefulness and harmony with nature. They showcase the resilience and creativity of people living in rural North Korea, whose meals connect them to tradition, community, and the land itself. For travelers lucky enough to experience these flavors firsthand, each bite and sip offers not just nourishment, but also a sense of place and history, a reminder that the simplest ingredients gathered from forest and field can speak volumes about a country, its people, and their enduring spirit. Nestled along the eastern coastline of North Korea lies Wonsan, a vibrant port city renowned for its picturesque beaches and leisurely seaside atmosphere. The gentle sound of waves meeting the shore sets the tone for early mornings as the sun begins to rise over the Sea of Japan, commonly known as the East Sea. Palm trees and pine forests line the edges of white sandy stretches, where local residents and visitors gather to enjoy the salty air and the tranquil rhythm of the water. Wonsan's unique charm lies in its harmonious mix of urban energy and natural beauty. The city's waterfront promenade invites strollers and cyclists alike, offering panoramic views of the bay. Families picnic under the canopy of greenery, while children build sandcastles or splash along the shoreline. Small fishing boats bob in the distance, reminders of Wonsan's heritage as a fishing port and gateway to the sea. The scent of fresh seafood lingers in the air, hinting at the numerous restaurants that serve up delicacies such as grilled clams, freshly prepared and shared among laughing friends. Not far from the city, Songdo-won Beach stands out as a jewel of the region. Famous for its shallow sands and clear blue waters, it becomes a lively hub during the summer months. University students compete in impromptu volleyball matches, and the gentle tides invite swimmers of all ages to cool off under the afternoon sun. The beach, surrounded by pine forests and backed by low hills, creates a serene yet festive atmosphere, a perfect place to unwind and soak up the sights and sounds of coastal life. Yet Wonsan is just the beginning. Traveling further inland, the landscape begins to transform. Rolling hills give way to dramatic peaks as the road winds toward one of Korea's most celebrated natural wonders, Mount Paektu, or Diamond Mountain. Here, nature's artistry is on full display. Towering granite cliffs glitter in the morning light, earning the mountain its jewel-like name. Mist drifts through forested valleys, creating an almost otherworldly ambiance. For generations, poets and artists have been inspired by these vistas, capturing the interplay of light and stone in verse, brushstroke, and legend. Hiking trails thread through the region, catering to both casual day trippers and seasoned trekkers seeking adventure. The paths lead deep into lush forests, past vibrant wildflowers and the gurgling of crystal-clear streams. Occasionally, the trees part to reveal panoramic overlooks, where hikers catch their breath and take in sweeping views of nature's grandeur. In spring, the slopes are blanketed by blooming azaleas and magnolias, infusing the air with fragrance and color. Autumn paints the landscape in fiery reds and golds, creating a tapestry of shifting hues as the season progresses. Among Mount Paektu's many highlights are its exquisite waterfalls. Konde Waterfall, one of the region's crowning jewels, cascades down sheer rock faces into emerald pools below. The refreshing mist cools hikers on hot summer days, while the roar of the falling water creates a sense of awe and tranquility all year round. Photographers and nature lovers pause here, mesmerized by the scene, the union of rushing water, ancient stone, and verdant foliage. Smaller waterfalls and quiet glens offer hidden spots for contemplation and rest, each with its own unique character and story to tell. Whether it's the sun-drenched beaches of Wonsan or the untamed hikes and tranquil streams of Mount Kumgang, this corner of the Korean peninsula offers a compelling harmony between relaxation and adventure. It is a place where city life meets wild nature, where history and legend intertwine with the everyday rhythms of seaside and mountain. Exploring Wonsan and Mount Kumgang isn't just a journey through landscapes. It's an invitation to discover the heart of Korea's natural splendor. In the heartland of rural Korea, food is more than sustenance. It's a reflection of history, geography, and the rhythm of the seasons. Dive into the world of corn noodles, known locally as oksusu guksu, and the humble, vegetable-laden bibimbap. These dishes are not just recipes. They are stories told through a handful of ingredients, shaped by generations and the land itself. Oksusu guksu, or corn noodles, begins with one of the region's most abundant crops: corn. In areas where rice paddies are less common, corn took root as a staple centuries ago, especially in the harsher climates of Korea's highlands. Farmers would harvest the yellow ears throughout late summer and early fall, carefully drying and grinding the kernels to yield a coarse, golden flour. This flour becomes the soul of oksusu guksu. Unlike the wheat-laden noodles of city markets, these corn noodles carry a distinct homegrown character. Making them is a labor of love, as corn flour lacks the gluten that binds wheat dough. To coax the dough into long, slender noodles, families add just enough boiling water and salt, kneading until the mixture reaches a workable texture. The dough is then pressed or rolled into strands and gently cooked, often in the same pot used for the nightly broth. The broth for oksusu guksu is simple, usually just water, seasoned with whatever is freshly available. Sometimes a dash of soybean paste, a few scallions plucked from the garden, and if luck has smiled, perhaps a dried anchovy or two. Yet in its simplicity, the broth draws out the subtle sweetness of the corn noodles. A bowl of oksusu guksu is warming, modest, and satisfying, a true taste of rural life. Alongside these bowls steaming with noodles sits another mainstay of countryside kitchens: bibimbap. Today, bibimbap is known worldwide for its colorful presentation and wide array of toppings. But in rural Korea, its origins are rooted in a different kind of abundance, that of the fields and gardens. Rural bibimbap is less about lavish display and more about necessity and resourcefulness. Steamed rice is spooned into bowls and topped with an assortment of whatever vegetables are in season. Spinach in the spring, zucchini and beans in the summer, wild greens foraged from nearby hills, or softly sautéed radish in the winter. Unlike the urban renditions adorned with raw egg yolks and glistening slices of beef, this version sticks to what the land provides. Each topping is lightly seasoned, sometimes with a drizzle of sesame oil, a sprinkle of roasted seeds, and a touch of fermented chili paste if available. The act of mixing bibim in bibimbap symbolizes more than just food preparation. It's a celebration of bringing together family, community, and the fruits of the earth. One bowl feeds many, and the ingredients reflect both the ingenuity and the hardships faced by those working the soil. Oksusu guksu and simple bibimbap are culinary echoes of Korea's rural past. Through these dishes, every meal is a reminder of self-reliance and the delicate balance between humans and nature. They remind us that true nourishment often springs from humble origins, teaching us to appreciate the value of seasonality, locality, and tradition. So, the next time you encounter a bowl of corn noodles or a modest serving of mixed vegetable rice, remember, you're not just eating a dish. You're tasting the landscape, honoring the daily efforts of countless hands, and connecting through the timeless language of food. In their simplicity, these dishes offer a profound wisdom. That richness and beauty are often found, not in extravagance, but in embracing all that is around us, one meal at a time. Rising high above the Pyongyang skyline, the Juche Tower stands as a commanding symbol of North Korea's defining state ideology. At an impressive 170 meters, including its gleaming torch, the tower asserts the presence and persistence of Juche, the philosophy of self-reliance and independence that has shaped the country's political and cultural identity since the mid-20th century. Completed in 1982 to mark the 70th birthday of Kim Il-sung, the founding leader of North Korea, the Juche Tower is more than just an architectural marvel. It is intended as a constant reminder of the spirit and path the nation has chosen, both for its citizens and for visitors from around the globe. Constructed from over 25,000 granite blocks, one for each day of Kim Il-sung's life up to his 70th year, the tower rises majestically on the east bank of the Taedong River. Its base is broad and commanding, and its body narrows with precision as it climbs toward the sky. Capping the column is a 75-ton torch, illuminated at night with a vivid red glow, symbolizing the enduring flame of Juche thought. From afar, the tower's verticality and radiant torch are unmistakable, forming a striking visual counterpart to the adjacent Kim Il-sung Square across the river. Juche, often translated as self-reliance, is more than a political principle. It is a vision of a society that builds its future independently, cherishing autonomy in politics, economy, and defense. According to this ideology, the Korean people are the masters of their destiny, a message symbolically expressed through the tower's towering form, which seems to declare unwavering resolve. Every element of the tower's design is imbued with meaning. The soaring column representing the strength of the nation, the torch, the eternal light of the ideology, and the granular detail of the granite blocks, the passage of time dedicated to the country's cause. Approaching the base of the Juche Tower, visitors encounter a dramatic plaza, where marble plaques from supporters around the world are on display. Imposing statues at the front represent workers, intellectuals, and farmers, the pillars of Korean society as envisioned by the state. These larger-than-life figures raise a hammer, sickle, and writing brush respectively, symbolizing unity and collective effort. It is here that official ceremonies, celebrations, and foreign delegations often gather, reinforcing the monument's role as a site of reverence and diplomacy. Inside, an elevator whisks visitors to an observation deck near the summit. From this vantage, Pyongyang stretches out in all directions, the ordered boulevards, state buildings, and bridges all visible, with the city's landmarks punctuating the landscape. Looking downward, the symbolism is clear. The tower represents not only the ideology, but the central role it plays in shaping the appearance and aspirations of the capital city itself. For North Koreans, the Juche Tower stands as a reminder of national pride and the ideals set forth by Kim Il-sung. For the few outsiders permitted to visit, it is a window into the narrative that the North Korean state has constructed for its people. The grandeur of the monument, the daily rituals surrounding it, and its omnipresence in imagery and propaganda all serve to reinforce the message that Juche is not simply an idea, but a lived and continuing reality. Decades after its construction, the Juche Tower remains one of the most recognizable symbols of North Korea. It encapsulates the state's aspiration for independence, the reverence of leadership, and the monumental scale on which the country chooses to represent itself. As sunlight glints off its torch, or as it glows against the night sky, the tower continues to be a silent yet powerful testament to the philosophy at the heart of the nation's identity, a steadfast beacon for those who look to it for meaning and inspiration. Kim Il-sung Square stands at the heart of Pyongyang, a vast expanse of paving stones surrounded by imposing buildings, statues, and the steady flow of political symbolism. Named after North Korea's founding leader Kim Il-sung, this square is not just an open space. It's a meticulously designed epicenter for state events, mass gatherings, and expressions of national identity. On any ordinary day, the square's sheer scale is striking. Spanning over 75,000 square meters, it rivals some of the world's most iconic public spaces. The Taedong River flows majestically along one edge, while rows of gray neoclassical government buildings frame the others. The facade of the Grand People's Study House towers above, its white columns and broad steps offering both authority and grandeur. But Kim Il-sung Square truly comes to life during official ceremonies and spectacular parades, the very moments for which it was created. Political events here are meticulously choreographed. When North Korea commemorates liberation anniversaries or celebrates state milestones, Kim Il-sung Square transforms into an arena of power and performance. Trained militias, military hardware, and uniformed students march in perfect unison, while massive portraits of leaders gaze out across the assembled crowds. The square becomes a grand stage where the North Korean state exhibits its unity, discipline, and military prowess to both citizens and the world. At the heart of these parades, symbolism abounds. As thousands of participants hold up colored cards in synchronization, the square's surface blooms with giant images and slogans extolling the virtues of Juche, North Korea's guiding philosophy of self-reliance. To outsiders, these displays can be as awe-inspiring as they are enigmatic. Tightly synchronized pageants where every step, every banner, every turn of the head has been planned down to the second. From the rooftops of the surrounding ministries, high-ranking officials and distinguished guests watch, observing a spectacle that is as much about public order as it is about power projection. Kim Il-sung Square is also the stage for important speeches by North Korean leaders. From its raised platforms, Kim Il-sung himself, and later his successors, have addressed the nation. The square's careful alignment ensures that the leader's words carry not just across the crowds, but are echoed through the state-run media across North Korea, reminding citizens of the enduring authority vested in the leadership. Beyond its political functions, Kim Il-sung Square plays the role of a cultural hub. Youths gather in tightly organized groups for celebrations honoring the country's leaders or historical achievements. On certain holidays, mass dances, graceful and regimented, fill the open space, reinforcing collective identity and shared purpose. The square serves as a visual focal point for images beamed around the globe, designed to leave a lasting impression of North Korea's unity and pride. Every stone, every banner, every column in Kim Il-sung Square testifies to the scale of ambition behind North Korea's political image. It is a place both open and inaccessible. Open in its vastness and symbolic resonance, yet tightly controlled by the state. For those who visit, the sense of scale is matched only by the weight of history felt beneath their feet. In North Korea, public spaces like Kim Il-sung Square are more than functional. They are living monuments to the country's political and cultural story. Spaces where the past is reenacted and the future is asserted in pageantry and precision. To understand Kim Il-sung Square is to glimpse the heart of Pyongyang and, perhaps, the soul of North Korea itself. Standing tall against the expansive blue sky, the Arch of Triumph is not just a monument. It is a testament to resilience, history, and national pride. While many around the world are familiar with the Arc de Triomphe in Paris, few realize that there exists an arch even grander in scale and boldness, commanding the heart of Pyongyang, the capital city of North Korea. The Arch of Triumph of Pyongyang was unveiled in 1982 to commemorate the Korean resistance to Japanese occupation, an arduous struggle that lasted from 1925 to 1945. Built to honor the leadership of Kim Il-sung and the sacrifices of countless Korean patriots, the arch was constructed on the occasion of Kim Il-sung's 70th birthday. Every marble block was precisely laid to symbolize a year of his age, culminating in a structure that soars to a height of 60 meters, about 10 meters taller than its French counterpart. As you approach the arch, its sheer scale is immediately awe-inspiring. The monument sits at the top of Moranbong Hill, overlooking expansive boulevards and forming a central point in the city's landscape. Crafted from finely hewn white granite, it gleams in the sunlight, a striking beacon visible from many vantage points around Pyongyang. Engraved on its face are words from the Song of General Kim Il-sung, a popular patriotic anthem, while bas-reliefs at its base depict scenes from the anti-Japanese resistance movement and the nation's hard-won liberation. The design of the Arch of Triumph draws inspiration from Roman and neoclassical traditions, but reinterprets them through a uniquely Korean lens. 4 grand arches, one on each face, invite visitors to pass through and reflect on the meaning of freedom. Ornate azalea carvings, a symbol of Korean endurance and hope, decorate the arch's crown. The monument is not only a place of remembrance, but also a site for national celebration, hosting parades, rallies, and public gatherings beneath its towering eaves. Beyond its physical grandeur, the Arch of Triumph stands as a focal point in North Korea's narrative of unity and triumph over adversity. For the people, it embodies the struggle for sovereignty and the spirit of independence that has shaped the nation's identity. The years inscribed on the arch, 1925 and 1940, mark the official beginning of Kim Il-sung's resistance and the eventual victory over Japanese rule, respectively. These dates serve as bookends to a chapter of national determination and sacrifice that is commemorated by each visitor who passes below the massive archway. Surrounding the monument, carefully maintained gardens and wide, open plazas provide space for contemplation and celebration. On any given day, you might see school groups, local residents, and tourists pausing to snap photographs, lay wreaths, or simply admire the imposing beauty of the arch. The site remains one of the most visited architectural landmarks in North Korea, an essential stop for any visitor to Pyongyang. Though comparisons with the Arc de Triomphe in Paris are inevitable, the Pyongyang Arch of Triumph carries a distinct story. It is not merely larger in height, but also stands as a physical representation of a unique historical journey, forged in the fires of hardship and hope. Where the Parisian arch speaks to imperial triumphs and national memory, Pyongyang's version articulates a tale of liberation from outside rule, national reunification, and the assertion of identity on the world stage. Ultimately, the Arch of Triumph is more than an imposing architectural achievement. It is a living symbol, intertwining the past and the present. Rising above the city, it reminds all who encounter it of the cost of freedom and the enduring power of national pride. And for those who walk beneath its marble arches, it offers a timeless invitation to remember, reflect, and aspire. In the heart of the Korean peninsula, food is more than just sustenance. It's a reflection of history, resilience, and tradition. When we think of famous Korean dishes, bulgogi and tofu soup, known as dubu jjigae, often come to mind. But while South Korean cuisine is renowned for bold flavors and vibrant colors, in the north, these classics are reimagined with subtlety and restraint, shaped by geography, climate, and the resourcefulness born of necessity. Let's start with bulgogi, the beloved grilled marinated meat. In its South Korean incarnation, bulgogi is sweet and succulent, with a marinade rich in soy sauce, sugar, garlic, and fruit juices. However, in North Korea, every element is dialed back for a different experience. Less sweetness, more umami, and above all, a deep appreciation for the natural flavor of the meat itself. Imagine thin slices of beef, carefully trimmed and prepared by hand with attention to every detail. The marinade is simple but impactful. A measured splash of soy sauce, perhaps a touch of grated garlic, a sliver of onion, a few drops of sesame oil, and a sprinkle of crushed black pepper. Here, sugar is used sparingly, if at all. Instead, the flavor is round, savory, and just a little bit smoky, accentuating the beef's innate richness rather than masking it. Sometimes, scallions or wild greens replace the usual fruits and sweeteners, adding depth while keeping the profile earthy and natural. Over a charcoal grill, the marinated meat is cooked gently, allowing the fire to char the edges and infuse the slices with a subtle smokiness. The aroma wafts through the air, beckoning family and friends to the table. There, bulgogi is served not as a centerpiece, but as a harmonious part of the meal, often accompanied by simply seasoned vegetables, a bowl of rice, and perhaps a few pickled radishes or wild greens foraged from the countryside. In every bite, the North Korean bulgogi tells a story of savoring what you have and letting each ingredient shine. But as the seasons turn and colder winds approach, it's time for something warming and restorative. Enter dubu jjigae, North Korean soft tofu soup. Unlike heartier southern versions abundant with chili, seafood, or beef, the northern take celebrates delicacy and comfort, beginning with homemade tofu. Soybeans, soaked overnight, are ground and simmered, then delicately pressed through cloth to yield fresh, pillowy tofu, mild creamy and nutty. The soup base is equally pure. A clear broth is created from dried kelp or anchovy, infusing the liquid with whispers of the sea while avoiding anything heavy or overpowering. Into this, cubes of tender, just-set tofu are slipped, their soft structure absorbing and mellowing the broth. Seasoning is subtle, a pinch of salt, a dash of soy sauce, perhaps a few slices of spring onion, and on occasion, a drizzle of fragrant sesame oil. Some versions introduce wild mushrooms or a handful of young greens picked from mountain slopes or rural gardens, adding gentle nuance and seasonal character. When served, dubu jjigae brings warmth and solace, its simplicity at once nourishing and deeply satisfying. It's more than a meal. It's a reminder of the elegance and restraint, of the ingenuity in making something beautiful from humble beginnings. Together, these dishes, North Korean bulgogi and dubu jjigae, invite us to appreciate not only the flavors, but the quiet traditions and enduring spirit woven into every bowl and plate. In every corner of Korea, food speaks a universal language of care, creativity, and community. And in the north, that language is spoken softly, but with unmistakable pride. Hidden behind the tall, ornate gates on the outskirts of Pyongyang lies one of the most secretive and revered places in all of North Korea, the Kumsusan Palace of the Sun. Once the presidential palace of Kim Il-sung, it has since been transformed into the mausoleum that holds the preserved bodies of both Kim Il-sung, the founding leader of North Korea, and his son, Kim Jong-il. This grand complex has immense political and spiritual significance for the people of North Korea, regarded as one of the most sacred sites in the nation. The journey begins long before even glimpsing the imposing marble facade of the mausoleum. North Koreans, and the rare foreign visitor permitted inside, must adhere to a series of strict protocols. Visitors enter through towering hallways of polished granite and marble, their steps echoing along the passage. Each corridor is silent, reverent, as guests proceed with measured, almost ritualistic precision. Dress codes are enforced. Photography is strictly forbidden. Smiles and casual conversation are inconceivable. As you draw closer, the atmosphere becomes ever more reverential. Soft music fills the air, and gentle lighting reflects off portraits of the two leaders, surrounded by fresh flowers and trembling candlelight. The palace, originally constructed in the 1970s as a tribute to the enduring legacy of Kim Il-sung, is a monument to power, intended to leave an indelible impression on anyone who enters. Its halls stretch expansively, lined with marble pillars and massive chandeliers, a display of grandeur meant to convey the everlasting might of the Kim dynasty. The mausoleum is not just a place of remembrance. It is the physical embodiment of North Korea's quasi-religious leader worship. Inside the complex, visitors are reminded at each step of the foundational myths of the regime. The journey is marked by displays of medals, honors, and the personal effects of the leaders. Books, clothing, timepieces, and photographs. Dramatic spotlights illuminate each artifact, asserting the narrative of genius, benevolence, and wisdom woven into state propaganda. Every object tells a story, carefully curated not only to honor Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il, but to reinforce their status as immortal figures whose guidance still shapes the nation to this day. The climactic moment of any visit arrives upon reaching the two marvelous crystal sarcophagi. Lying in state, both leaders are presented in immaculate attire. Kim Il-sung in his famous gray suit, Kim Jong-il in his khaki tunic. Their expressions are serene, untroubled, as though resting rather than deceased. Soft, colored lighting dramatizes their presence, creating an almost ethereal energy in the cold, hushed chamber. Visitors bow in deep respect 3 times, first at their feet, then their sides, and finally at their heads. For North Koreans, this is an act imbued with immense emotional and spiritual weight, an expression of unwavering loyalty and gratitude. Children, soldiers, party officials, and elders alike shed genuine tears, often overcome by the significance of the moment. Here, the state's narrative comes to life. The leaders are not merely historical figures, but eternal guardians of the nation's destiny. The mausoleum also plays a key role in shaping North Korean identity. State media endlessly highlights visits by foreign dignitaries and ceremonial processions, reinforcing both legitimacy and the mythology around the Kim lineage. The act of maintaining, visiting, and revering the mausoleum strengthens the regime's ideological grip, ensuring that reverence for the Kims remains not just political, but deeply spiritual, a sacred obligation. For North Koreans, the Kumsusan Palace of the Sun stands as more than a tomb. It is a sanctuary, a place where the lines between reverence, faith, and political loyalty become inseparable. In its silent corridors and among the grieving crowds, a sense of collective identity, powered by devotion to the leaders, is both constructed and reaffirmed. Here, within walls of stone and memory, the legend of the Kim dynasty endures, unchallenged and absolute. Towering over the North Korean capital of Pyongyang stands the imposing Mansudai Grand Monument, a sight like no other in the country. Here, two monumental bronze statues of North Korea's most important leaders, Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il, gaze upon the city skyline, casting their long shadows over both the physical and political landscape. These statues are not merely works of art. They are vital pillars of the nation's identity and serve as a profound symbol of its political ideology and history. The Mansudai Grand Monument first took shape in 1972, unveiled on the occasion of Kim Il-sung's 60th birthday. At the heart of the monument was the grand figure of Kim Il-sung, depicted standing at over 20 meters tall. The founder of North Korea is shown with his arm outstretched, appearing both visionary and paternal, gazing into a future shaped by his leadership. 3 decades later, in 2012, the monument was expanded to include a second statue, this time of Kim Jong-il, son of Kim Il-sung, and the country's second supreme leader. He too is represented in bronze, standing side by side with his father, his signature long coat carefully rendered in gleaming metal. These statues are mammoth in not only physical stature but also symbolic meaning. Crafted in shining bronze by the skilled artisans of the Mansudai Art Studio, one of the largest art production centers in the world, they echo the gravitas with which the North Korean regime views its leaders. The choice of bronze conveys endurance and immortality, a message reinforced by the strict reverence with which the statues are treated. Every detail, from the creases in their coats to the earnest expressions on their faces, is designed to evoke utmost respect and admiration. Set on Mansu Hill, the statues are flanked by red granite walls and expansive staircases that lead up from Kim Il-sung Square. Visitors approaching the monument are greeted by an impressive array of sculptural groups on either side, 50 figures in total, representing soldiers, workers, peasants, intellectuals, and families from every walk of North Korean life. These groups symbolize the unity of the masses, the strength of socialist ideology, and the unyielding progress the nation claims to pursue. Behind the statues rises the Korean Revolution Museum, and in the distance, Mount Paektu, the spiritual heart of the Korean people, affirms the significance of the site as a truly patriotic center. For citizens of North Korea, the Mansudai Grand Monument is far more than a tourist destination. It plays a crucial role in the rituals and daily life of the nation. Groups of students, soldiers, workers, and foreign visitors alike are guided to the site, encouraged, or required, to bow deeply before the statues. Floral offerings are laid at the feet of the bronze figures, especially on key holidays such as the birthdays of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il, or on important national anniversaries. These acts of collective reverence are not spontaneous. They reinforce the central place of the Kim family in the mind of every citizen, embodying both loyalty and unity. The grandeur and spectacle of the monument underline the North Korean philosophy of Juche, or self-reliance, as well as the strong cult of personality that surrounds the Kim dynasty. Each element, from the imperial scale of the statues to the orchestrated pilgrimages, is meticulously curated to impress awe, assert authority, and remind visitors of where the true power in North Korea lies. In an isolated country where public art carries tremendous political weight, the Mansudai Grand Monument stands as a permanent testament to the leadership and legacy of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il. It remains North Korea's most iconic patriotic site, a place where the aspirations of a nation, the narrative of its past, and the unmistakable presence of its leaders converge. Naengmyeon, the beloved cold buckwheat noodle dish, holds a special place in the heart of Korean culinary tradition. Among its many variations, Pyongyang-style naengmyeon stands out as a cultural icon, cherished for its subtle flavors, refreshing qualities, and deep history. To truly understand the allure of Pyongyang naengmyeon, we have to journey northward to the chilly climes where this dish was born. Pyongyang-style naengmyeon traces its origins back to what is now the capital of North Korea. Unlike its spicier, tangier southern relatives, this style is characterized by a clean, mild, and understated broth, usually made from beef, sometimes blended with dongchimi, a watery radish kimchi brine, or even hints of chicken or pheasant. The real star, though, is the noodles themselves. Made primarily of buckwheat flour, sometimes mixed with sweet potato or arrowroot, they are delightfully chewy, with an earthy taste that sets Pyongyang naengmyeon apart from all other cold noodle dishes. Traditionally, Pyongyang naengmyeon was a treat for the winter months. A paradox, perhaps, but one grounded in the belief that eating cold food in cold weather renews and invigorates the body. Over time, however, it gained massive popularity as a summer dish, prized for its ability to refresh and cool diners during Korea's hot, humid months. The broth arrives crystal clear, almost icy in appearance, with delicate wisps of beef flavor mingling with a subtle hint of tang. Never overpowering, always clean. Resting atop the noodles, you'll find classic garnishes. A few thin slices of chilled boiled beef, crunchy cucumber, Korean pear for a touch of sweetness, half a hard-boiled egg, and sometimes a sprinkle of sesame seeds. A dash of vinegared mustard or a splash of vinegar to one's own taste is common, allowing you to tailor the dish to your preferences. Pyongyang naengmyeon had become much more than just something to eat. It is now a symbol of shared heritage, commonality, and nostalgia. Whenever families sit down together to share a bowl, there's often reminiscence about hometowns and the generations that came before. In recent years, naengmyeon has even played a role in diplomacy, appearing at inter-Korean summits, where leaders have shared this dish as a gesture of goodwill and unity. But a true Korean meal rarely arrives alone. For the ever-present companion to naengmyeon is kimchi, the fiery, vibrant, and unmistakably iconic fermented vegetable dish that has become synonymous with Korean culture itself. Whether it's made from Napa cabbage, crunchy radish, or even cucumber, kimchi's bold flavors complement the cool subtlety of naengmyeon perfectly. Kimchi is much more than a food. It's a daily ritual and a marker of identity. Generations of families gather each autumn for kimjang, a communal process of making massive batches of kimchi to last throughout the winter. The classic version starts with salted cabbage leaves, which are then seasoned with chili flakes, garlic, ginger, fish sauce, and sometimes sweet hints from apples or pears. The mixture is packed tightly, sealed, and left to ferment. What emerges is a dish of complex aroma, fiery tanginess, and delightfully crunchy texture. In every Korean household and restaurant, kimchi holds a place of honor, served at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It is not just a side dish, but an essential part of every meal. The pairing of naengmyeon and kimchi is a study in contrasts. Icy cold noodles meet the warmth of spice and fermentation. Subtlety is met by robust flavor. Each enhances the other, delivering a uniquely balanced culinary experience. Both naengmyeon and kimchi carry with them stories of resilience, tradition, and the creative spirit of the Korean people. To enjoy them together is not only to taste something delicious and refreshing, but to take part in a time-honored legacy that continues to bring people together, one bite and one slurp at a time. Stretching approximately 250 kilometers across the Korean peninsula and spanning about 4 kilometers in width, the demilitarized zone, better known as the DMZ, marks one of the most fortified borders in the world. Separating North and South Korea, this unique strip of land has stood as a tense, silent witness to both historic conflict and hopeful gestures since the Korean War armistice was signed in 1953. Though fundamentally a symbol of division, the DMZ has also emerged as a paradoxical space, attracting curious tourists and serving as an enduring reminder of the complexities of peace, war, and national identity. The origins of the DMZ trace back to the devastation of the Korean War, a brutal conflict that left millions dead and millions more displaced. When fighting ceased, both sides agreed to a ceasefire, but not a peace treaty. As a result, the DMZ was established as a buffer zone to prevent further direct clashes. While soldiers from both nations patrol their respective sides, the actual stretch of land in the middle remains, in theory, free from military presence, hence demilitarized. In practice, however, heavy security, watchtowers, electrified fences, and minefields dominate the landscape. Despite its forbidding purpose, the DMZ is curiously popular among tourists. Year after year, visitors are drawn to its paradoxes, a place of intense military vigilance that also functions as a rare window into modern history and nature's resilience. Tourists often participate in guided tours, which bring them to select sites along the border. The most famous of these is the Joint Security Area, or JSA, located in Panmunjom. Here, blue conference buildings straddle the dividing line, and soldiers from both sides occasionally come face to face in a tense but managed standoff. In the conference rooms, visitors can physically cross into North Korean territory. A surreal, brief moment that many find unforgettable. Elsewhere, observation posts offer panoramic views across the DMZ and into North Korea. From these vantage points, binoculars reveal distant North Korean villages, propaganda billboards, and the mysterious facade of what is known as the Propaganda Village. Tourist stops often include the Third Tunnel of Aggression, one of several narrow underground passages discovered by South Korea over the past decades. Dug by the North with the intent of launching a surprise attack, these tunnels illustrate the ongoing suspicions that characterize the relationship between the two Koreas. Yet, the DMZ is more than just a relic of past hostilities. Cut off from most human activity for decades, large parts of this forbidden strip have evolved into a remarkable ecological sanctuary. Rare species of flora and fauna thrive here, including endangered birds and the elusive Amur leopard. The unexpected resurgence of wildlife in such a place of tension serves as a poignant reminder that nature often reclaims what conflict abandons. Over the years, myriad attempts have been made to transform the symbolism of the DMZ from one of division to hope. Historic summits between North and South Korean leaders have taken place here, with scenes of presidents crossing the border on foot sparking moments of optimism worldwide. Peace parks and cultural exchanges have been proposed, each aimed at reshaping perceptions of the land from a scar of war to a bridge of reconciliation. Still, the DMZ stands as a testament to unresolved tensions. Heavily guarded checkpoints, strict regulations, and an ever-present sense of surveillance remind every visitor of the realities that divide the Korean peninsula. It remains a powerful, living exhibit, one that prompts reflection on the costs of conflict and the fragile prospects for peace. For those who visit, the DMZ is far more than a line etched in the earth. It is a living history lesson, a sanctuary for life in the shadow of danger, and above all, a powerful symbol, one that underscores both the challenges and possibilities on the road to unity. Rising majestically along the border between northern Korea and China, Mount Paektu stands as the highest peak on the Korean peninsula, reaching an impressive 2,744 meters above sea level. Known as Baekdusan in Korean and Changbaishan in Chinese, this extinct volcano is not only a breathtaking natural wonder, but also a powerful symbol woven deeply into the fabric of Korean identity, culture, and history. Crowned by the awe-inspiring Heaven Lake, called Cheonji in Korean, Mount Paektu's summit offers a truly unforgettable sight. The caldera lake fills the center of a massive volcanic crater, its waters shimmering in vivid shades that shift with the changing sky above. At over 2 kilometers wide and surrounded by rugged cliffs, Heaven Lake sits silently at the very top of the mountain, making it one of the world's highest crater lakes. In the warmer months, snow on the slopes melts to reveal lush green landscapes dotted with wildflowers, while the lake remains icy blue, a stunning testament to the beauty of nature. But Mount Paektu is far more than just a natural marvel. For centuries, it has occupied a sacred place in the hearts and minds of Korean people. Many legends and myths are rooted here, with stories proclaiming Mount Paektu as the birthplace of the Korean nation. According to one renowned legend, Tangun, the mythical founder of Korea, descended from heaven onto this very mountain, establishing the first Korean kingdom thousands of years ago. This origin story, passed down from generation to generation, imbues Paektu with a profound spiritual significance. Throughout the centuries, Mount Paektu has served as a symbol of strength, resilience, and hope during times of adversity. During the struggles for independence and national unity, it provided a source of inspiration. Korean poets, writers, and artists frequently recall the mountain's grandeur in their works, linking its enduring presence to the strength of the Korean spirit. Even the very name Paektu refers to its snow-capped peak, representing purity and nobility. Heaven Lake itself holds its own legendary allure. Shrouded in mist and mystery, the lake is said by some old tales to house a giant creature beneath its serene surface, a guardian spirit watching over the mountain. The sight of the lake on a clear day has inspired countless visitors and pilgrims who make the journey to gaze into its depths and reflect on its tranquil beauty. The region surrounding Mount Paektu is equally rich in natural diversity. Vast forests blanket the lower slopes, home to rare plant species, birds, and animals adapted to the alpine conditions. In autumn, the landscape transforms into a tapestry of fiery reds, oranges, and golds, an unforgettable spectacle as the leaves turn before winter's snow returns. Mount Paektu's role in Korean culture and national identity remains strong today. Both North and South Koreans revere the mountain as a symbol of unbroken heritage, and it features prominently in art, music, and patriotic narratives. For Koreans worldwide, the very name evokes a deep connection to their ancestral roots and shared history. The mountain's image graces official emblems, songs, and literature, its presence a reminder of unity transcending borders and generations. Yet, beyond its symbolism and beauty, Mount Paektu is a living landscape, still shaped slowly by the forces of nature. Scientists continue to monitor volcanic activity amid the tranquil scenery, while travelers who reach its summit experience an unmatched sense of serenity and awe, standing on the roof of Korea, reflecting on its timeless significance. Mount Paektu is not just a mountain, it is a beacon, a testament to the enduring spirit of a people, and a call to remember the profound bond between land, legend, and identity. From its snow-capped peaks to the stillness of Heaven Lake, it stands as a natural and cultural treasure, calling out to all who seek to understand the heart of Korea. Rising majestically from the heart of North Korea, Mount Myeohyang is a place where nature's grandeur and historical significance come together in striking harmony. This iconic mountain range, whose name translates to mysterious fragrant mountain, has captivated travelers and pilgrims for centuries. Its rugged peaks, shrouded in mist, stand as silent sentinels over lush forests, crystalline waterfalls, and winding mountain paths. For those seeking tranquility, inspiration, and a journey through the lesser-seen corners of the Korean peninsula, Mount Myeohyang offers a world of discovery. The charm of Mount Myeohyang begins with its breathtaking natural scenery. As visitors approach, they are greeted by towering cliffs and verdant valleys, where pine trees cling to rocky outcrops and wild azaleas color the landscape in vibrant hues each spring. The mountain's varied terrain offers something for every nature lover. Hiking trails, some steep and challenging, others more gentle, snake through pristine forests where the sound of rushing streams and the call of mountain birds fill the air. Throughout the year, Myeohyang transforms with the seasons, from snow-laden slopes that glisten under the winter sun to a blaze of red and gold leaves in autumn. But Mount Myeohyang's allure extends beyond its natural wonders. Nestled within these ancient peaks lies one of North Korea's most unusual and significant cultural landmarks, the International Friendship Exhibition Hall. This remarkable museum, partly tunneled into the mountain itself, was established in the late 1970s and stands as a testament to the country's diplomatic history and the global web of relationships maintained by its leaders. The International Friendship Exhibition Hall is no ordinary museum. Unlike collections that showcase art or natural history, this vast complex houses a unique assortment of gifts presented to the country's leaders by dignitaries, organizations, and prominent figures from around the world. The experience of visiting is deeply theatrical. The hallways are opulently decorated, with polished floors, marble columns, and flickering chandeliers. Temperature and humidity are carefully controlled, not only for the preservation of the treasures, but to create an atmosphere of reverence and awe. Within these halls, visitors can observe an astonishing array of items, ranging from intricately crafted vases, elaborate paintings, and precious gemstones, to luxury cars, ceremonial swords, and even a train carriage. Each gift is displayed with a plaque detailing its origin, the occasion of its presentation, and the donor's name or country. The diversity of the collection is striking, a reminder of both North Korea's diplomatic outreach and the eclectic tastes of its benefactors. For many, the exhibition serves as a tangible record of the country's political history, ambitions, and relationships across decades and continents. But the mountain has spiritual significance as well. Its slopes have long been home to ancient Buddhist temples, such as Pohyon Temple, which dates back more than 1,000 years. Here, amid the scent of incense and the echo of chanting, visitors are invited to pause, reflect, and absorb the tranquility that has drawn sages and monks for generations. Mount Myeohyang's enduring appeal lies in this unique intersection of nature, history, and culture. It is a place where the beauty of the landscape is matched by the stories embedded in its stones and sanctuaries. Whether explored on foot along a bubbling mountain stream, or from within the hushed grandeur of the International Friendship Exhibition Hall, Mount Pyongyang invites all who visit to look beyond the ordinary and to find meaning in both the natural world and the artifacts of history. In a country often shrouded in mystery, this mountain stands as a window onto its rich past, storied traditions, and the enduring power of place. Thank you so much for joining us here on the SangCnd-Travel YouTube channel. We truly appreciate each and every one of you who takes the time to watch our videos, explore new places with us, and share in our adventures from around the world. Your support means the world to us, and we are grateful to have such an amazing community of fellow travelers and explorers. If you enjoyed this video, please take a moment to hit the like button below. Every like helps us reach more viewers and inspires us to keep creating new and exciting content just for you. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel too. Subscribing is the best way to stay up to date with all our latest journeys, tips, and travel guides. When you subscribe, you become a part of our travel family and ensure you never miss out on any of our new videos. We're always eager to hear your thoughts and experiences, so feel free to leave a comment and let us know what destination you'd love to see next, or share your favorite travel memories with us. Your feedback guides our next adventures and helps us create content that you love. Thank you once again for watching and supporting SangCnd-Travel. We have so many exciting places to visit and stories to share, and we can't wait to take you along for the ride. Until our next adventure together, keep exploring, stay curious, and remember, the journey is just as important as the destination. Safe travels, and we'll see you in the next video.